Chapter 28. End of the road. As I slowly descended the stairs that led into the basement, it became darker, quiet, and cool. With each step, I could feel my wounds from earlier in the day. I knew that these wounds had penetrated deep. These were wounds that a hospital could not heal. The man at the clinic was young, but it was obvious that he was well trained in the use of his weapon. He had cut with surgical precision. As I stepped into the basement, I noticed one dim light gave the basement an eerie horror movie look. This did not deter me. I had more important things to do than to dwell on horror story scenarios. I needed closure. I needed relief from my pain. I needed rest. I limped toward the chair in the corner of the room. I could feel my old strength leaving me. My life felt like it was quickly slipping away. I slumped into the chair and stared at the wall. I had finally come to the end of the road. As hard as I tried, I just couldn't shake off the words of the young man from the clinic earlier in the day. These words had stabbed me with a deeply penetrating knife, but this was not a knife designed to bring destruction. Instead, it was used as an instrument of hope and healing. It's a mystery how two very similar objects can obtain completely opposite results, all because of one ingredient. That ingredient is intention. The murderer and the trained surgeon have some things in common. Both are humans wielding a very sharp instrument. Both use their instrument to cut into your body. What is the difference between the two? The murderer intends to use his instrument to destroy and to kill your body. The other knife wielder has been trained to use his instrument to bring life. Yes, he is also cutting into your body, and yes, some destruction must take place. But in the end, his actions are motivated by a desire to do you good and not harm. Instead of taking away your life, he seeks your healing and health. The young man's words had indeed wounded me deeply, but they also were impregnated with life and hope. Like the skilled surgeon's scalpel, they were carefully cutting at the deep cancer that was destroying me at my very depths. The young man had pointedly asked me if I was a Christian, a question that I quickly answered with the affirmative. I believed that there was something out there, someone greater than I. I figured the term Christian was like the junk drawer in your kitchen. You could throw anything you liked in there, and it was acceptable. The young man responded excitedly to my answer, and then proceeded to ask me another question that I had no answer for. He told me that Jesus taught that if a person was not born again, or born from above, then they could not enter the kingdom of God. When were you born again? He asked, eagerly waiting my answer. His question transported me back to my school days when I was asked a math question that I had no intelligent response for. I could feel myself begin to squirm, sweat beads forming on my forehead. For a fleeting moment, it flitted through my brain to try to fake it, to bluff my way out of the corner I had painted myself into, but to do so would mean that I had to at least have some understanding of the question being presented to me. This I did not have. So instead of lying, I confessed my ignorance. I told him I didn't know what being born again or being born from above meant, so I didn't know if I was born again. I wasn't at all sure that that experience had actually taken place in my life. The young man's next words would forever change my life. In his very simple, soft speech, he told me the greatest story ever told. He told me of the story that I had been reading about in weeks gone by, but explained it in a way that answered my heart's longings and deepest yearnings. He pointed me clearly to the missing piece of the puzzle, the piece that always seemed slightly out of my reach. I now began to realize that this missing piece of the puzzle was always out of reach because I did not want to find it. I did not want to take hold of it and place it in the puzzle to make things complete. Instead, I had avoided it and had done all within my power to ignore it. I had fooled myself into thinking that I had something more valuable clutched in its place. I had finally come to see that my big mistake was wanting ultimate control over my life, even though I had proven to all, including myself, that I was a miserable manager indeed. Year after year of blunders had made that fact clearer than a freshly washed window. To my utter astonishment, the missing piece was infinitely greater than my mind could have ever imagined or invented. The young man didn't point me to mere religion. He didn't point me to diligent and devoted efforts of keeping certain rules and commands. Instead, he pointed me to the amazing man I had been reading about for the last few weeks, the man within the pages of the book I had been consuming with great hunger. He pointed me to the one who received the guilty and gave them pardon. He pointed me to the one who received the broken and in return brought healing. This incredible man of great sacrificial love was the missing piece of the puzzle. He was the answer to all my problems. What made this story even more mind-boggling was the fact that this man wasn't only the missing piece to my puzzle. He was also the missing piece, the missing puzzle piece to every person who was ever born. As the young man revealed to me who this man really was, I knew that I had to stop running. If this man was who his messenger said he was, then running was pointless. Suddenly, certain parts of the ancient book became clear. If the amazing man revealed in the pages of the book was who he said he was, then nothing was impossible for him. The reason he was such a great man was because he was more than just a man.